Since the re-release of Spinal Tap, you noticing any more Spinal Tap nuts than usual coming up to you?
No, there's a fairly regular supply who who come up to me in the street and yell things like, F the napkin and all the rest of it.
You guys improvised all that stuff. So
Absolutely.
Do you even remember these lines that they're talking about?
Well, there was a time when this began to happen, which was sort of in the early 90s, the late 80s and early 90s, when really I did not know what people was talking about. And I quite often sort of flinched, it's like some psychotic person from the street. Actually, I've now learnt my own lines back from these people because they know them all. I mean, they know everything that every one of us said in that movie.
You have one of the more most quoted lines, other than it goes up to 11. The Boston, not a college town, is one of the more
not
quoted
a big
lines.
College town.
Not a big college town.
Right.
Now that you've heard your lines quoted back to you, do you have a favorite among them?
I think that comes close, actually, because it was a wonderful in-joke with the Harvard guys, having been through 8 years of the National Lampoon and the Harvard Lampoon, therefore, which is intimately linked to it. It was great to be able to say on a major movie screen, Boston's not a big college town.
Do you think that the average young person, like a teenager or someone in the early 20s, even knows what the National Lampoon is, other than the words before vacation or something like that?
Oh, I don't think they do, but you and I know, don't we,
yeah.
Michael?
Do you think you get the credit that you deserve for breaking the ground for some of the comedy we're seeing today?
It is, looking back on it, extraordinary how, that magazine was immensely influential, and people from that era, whether they're in the humor business or whether they're not, remember it as being hugely influential. I mean, when I spoke to my old friend Carl Bernstein about it, for example, Carl, without any prompting, said Richard Nixon would never have resigned if it hadn't been for the National Lampoon.
On Radio Dinner, you do a great parody of John Lennon. That was a classic.
It was called Magical Misery Tour. And Genius is Pain was the chorus.
Your rant at the end of that, when you go off and Paul wasn't the walrus, I was the walrus.
I was just saying that to be nice. Paul wasn't the walrus. Eastman was an animal.
Yeah, well, that was absolutely hilarious. Well, you've been in a lot of groundbreaking humorous, the National Lampoon and Spinal Tap and all of that. Which one are you most proud of? Which one do you think your humor really showed through the most?
Good question. I think of all the things I've done, Lemmings was probably the thing that pleased me most. It was as dangerous as you could get to really sort of take on your own generation's idols. Almost every night that show ran, and it ran for well over a year off Broadway, I never tired of listening to that second act and hearing those songs sung.